People don't, again, in this case, don't understand Sinclair Skinner's ability to go from struggling young man to wealthy guy in business in the 3 years you've been mayor. What is it with, who is Sinclair Skinner? Why does he seem to be in everything that seems to bring negative criticism to you? Who is he?
Well, first and foremost, he is a friend of mine. Second of all, I would just like to walk through this very quickly. There have been a lot of questions that have come up about recreation centers. Most of them are isolated to a very small amount of money at a few recreation centers. Don't forget, we spend millions and millions of dollars on the recreation centers. Most of the projects
for which you get great praise because I've been to them with you.
And most of them go to very big firms like Siegel or Forrester or Turner or Clark. And these companies are very able, as are some of the small guys who do the work as well. But the recreation center project, as you well know, it takes on a new dynamic in this. First of all, there's no dispute that it went through a competitive process. Second of all, there's no dispute that the competitive process was completely separated from the executive branch of government. For those listening, that means that an independent branch of government, the Housing Authority, did their own legal procurement process. At such time, they selected, through the competitive process, a developer who then went on to build many recreation centers. One of them I was at this morning, the Deanwood Recreation Center, which is, again, a fantastic one. Another is the Walker Jones Recreation Center, which is being done very well. Now, in the whole process where the council did an investigation, I haven't heard that there was any allegations of any wrongdoing with the procurement or any of the award of anything. There was a separation of one of the contractors, but all of the subcontractors who remained are still on duty, and they're going to renovate between 12 and 15 recreation centers, most of them very small. Parks like Justice Park in Ward 1, the In Street Park in Ward 2, and these are very important projects to the people who have been waiting for them a long time. So this is to sum up, completely removed from the executive branch of government, completely followed the procurement laws, and very high-quality work being done in neighborhoods where people really wanted it.
But I just want to, if you don't mind, the problem with Skinner is...
the listeners in.
Okay, well, they'll just have to wait. All right, let the people wait. No, the Skinner didn't do the work. His firm, called LEAD, L-E-A-D, went out and hired a subcontractor who was paid a pittance of what the costs were, and he just tripled or doubled the cost and charged the city.
Well, listen to this, Tom, because I know this is a new article this week.
I would like you to look at it and respond to it at some point.
Well, what I'd rather do, if you don't mind, is there are investigations going on. The council's got an investigation. Well, the inspector general's got an investigation. I think my own attorney general has investigations, not because all these articles may not be right or wrong, but because when questions are raised, this administration has always been the first to say, let's look into it. We did it in everything from Bonita Jax to some of the most recent revelations. And if anything is ever amiss, we always are the first to talk about it, as we've done recently with some FEMS cases and such. But I don't want to respond to any article for which I don't know whether anything in there is true or not.
This is the worst example, I think, of people who are saying you are steering contracts, but I'll give you a chance to respond to it down the road. But it's just like the personality issue. These are the two things that I just get bombarded with as I go around this city.
Well, I have to say, Tom, there is no allegation that I have heard of that has any evidence of being accurate at all of contract steering. I would defend myself aggressively on that. You mentioned the words, but no one has raised that allegation. And no one has done anything to sustain it. To repeat it for anything more than somebody may have thrown it out there is almost.
I agree with you.
I promised I would go to the caller, so I got to do it.